I'd like to give you a brief introduction to a railway prototype that I've been working on. It uses splines in Unreal Engine 5 and allows you to create junctions, generate meshes, and it's a pretty cool little railway system. I have the C++ class called track. If I drag that in the scene, it creates this little track component here. You can move it around or whatever. I'll drag this into the track section and rename this to mainline. If I select the spline component, I can now make the track longer. And if I hold Alt while I drag, I can create extra points along the spline. So I'm just going to create a little circle here. Once we get to the end, I want this to be a closed loop so the train can go the whole way around. So I click the closed loop function here for the spline. That's not bad. So if we want the train to continue to go around this closed loop forever, we need to tell the track that it connects to itself. So on mainline here we have an entrance and an exit. So I'm just going to set the exit, so whenever the train reaches the end, back to itself. So it'll start at position 1 again. So once it reaches this last point, it'll go back to position 1. We can also generate a mesh for this track. So I have a sleeper mesh already created. And for the material, I'm just going to pick a random wood material here. Walnut worn. And if I click generate mesh, it'll create these little sleepers the whole way around. Pretty cool. Now let's say after the train has finished going the whole way around the track, we want it to go down into a siding and stop in there. So if I select the spline component again, I can select one of these points and click this create junction function. Creating this will add a new track component here at the same position, which I'll just drag up in here. And it works the same way. We can select the spline component and just drag that out to make it longer. We can hold Alt to create more points. And we can adjust the curve, etc. Something like this. So we have our little locomotive in the middle here. And we want to tell it which track segment to start on. So we just give it the mainline track. So we have our locomotive, we have our loop track, and we have our siding. And we've told our locomotive that we want to start on mainline. So we hit the play button. We can now see gameplay functionality. So we have two main resources, coal and water. We work as the fireman to shovel coal into the firebox. So in the top right here, you can see the firebox temperature gets higher. This in turn raises the temperature of the boiler in the locomotive. Once the temperature reaches a certain threshold, it will start turning the water in the boiler into steam, which you can see here. So you have to keep the firebox warm enough to generate enough temperature to keep the steam high enough to push the pistons. So if we move the regulator up, the train will now start to move. And while the train is on its way around the track, I'm just going to eject from the actor. So this junction that we created earlier, if we select the main line, go to our spline component, and we select this point, we can see that we have this enable junction button. So we can either enable or disable it. We want to enable this junction so that he comes to rest in the siding. So he's completed his first loop of the track, and now he's going to go into the siding and come to a halt. And that's it. Thank you for watching.